What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Brother Keith always gives me good information. Him and Brother Devin, they give me a lot of things we use here on The Celebrity Junk. And currently right now I'm in East Africa. I'm in Uganda for quite some time, and I'm sorry if the videos haven't been as many because I've been dealing with some power outages here and there. But I'm also not only in the manosphere, I also participate in what I would consider the Pan-African or B1 African American or global Pan-African community. And one of the themes that is sort of perpetual in this sort of community that I'm in is that, number one, it's dominated by a lot of African American women or women from the Western world. So you'll see women from Britain, the Caribbean, especially if you go to West Africa. There are a lot, many of them in Ghana. There are some in Senegal. Brother RJ Mahdi, he's there. But furthermore, what you'll also notice is that many of those women, at least in those communities that I've heard talk, not to say that all of them will say this, but quite a few that I've seen, at least on social media, will say that African men are just somewhat better than African American men. And, they are more masculine and this is no way in shape or form trying to turn the African American men against the African brothers. I'm not trying to do that. I love you brothers both. I've had good relationships with both groups. But a good example of this is Adrienne Joy Johnson. Not to be confused with AJ Johnson, the former comedian who's now deceased, but she was the lady that was in Baby Boy. She was the one that played Tyrese's mom, okay? And she's had little stints of acting here and there, Sister Act and School Days, what have you. But currently she's dating a man from Ghana who she says has been teaching her the importance of getting to know each other. She's never been married before, but she says that she doesn't date Black American men anymore. And the reason why is because that Black American men don't want to marry her. They prefer kicking it, okay? Whereas African men, she feels that she's more chosen, okay? And that's the reality of her situation. I've heard that from many other women. I've heard that from the African superstar herself. She's a good friend of mine. She's, in the West Africa, Ghana region, and she always talks about it. She's been very outspoken about it in an emphatic way that, she prefers dealing with men from Ghana than dating men from the West. But here's what I want to say. And I think if the roles are reversed, all right, if you were to come to Ghana and you were to come to Uganda, what would the women say? They would say that they don't want to deal with men from Ghana or Uganda, okay? They want to deal with men from America. They want to deal with men from anywhere outside of those regions. And why would they say that? They would say that because they blame the problems that they have on the local men. All right? Black women in America blame the problems that they have in dating and relationships on the local African American man. Similar, you see that with black men. Black men in America blame their issues on black women, but it's not as big of a pandemic, if you will, as it is with black women. And similarly, women in Africa, I've heard women say they don't want to date men from Uganda or Kenya. They want to date men from America. But the reality is that the reason why those guys are choosing you is because they don't know you yet. Okay? It's a facade when you're a black man and you say, oh man, I'm in Uganda. I would love to date a woman from Africa, right? I want to date a woman from Brazil, date a woman from Colombia. It's a facade for a minute. Until what? Until you get to know them. And then when you get to know them, you realize, in certain cases, this is probably why the guys in your country don't want to date you either. Okay? It can be obvious. Anybody who's been dating overseas, when you come in and you have that feeling like, I'm going to get my queen over here, I'm going to get my queen over there. And it can be times where you run into people and then they don't have the level of expectations that you thought. All right? And the reality, it could be two things. It could be number one, it could be you. Two, it could be them, or a little bit of both. And the fact that AJ Johnson, who's been around for such a long time, she's a very beautiful woman. She wants to try to say African men are different or better, but the reality is they just don't know her yet. Once they find out that back talking and they find out some of those stereotypical attitudes that she may have, all right, I'm not saying that she has them, but you know, there might be some elements, and I think from what I've seen on Fox Soul interview, she definitely has that kind of attitude of recalcitrant. I can tell you who's not going to put up with it: African men. Most African strong, confident men, they're not going to put up with a lot of back talk. Okay? A lot of being disagreeable. Okay? For most men that come from masculine cultures, they're not going to put up with that. So once you start getting into that ball game, 2 or 3 things are going to happen. 1, you're going to get left. 2, it might be a physical altercation between the both of you. Or 3, he going to leave your ass alone. All right? That's just the skinny of it. Okay? And a lot of times when people want to compare the African American man culture versus the Black American or the African man culture, the reality is that men want respectful women. Okay? I don't care if it's a brother from Nigeria or it's a brother from Compton. All right? Black men in Africa and Black America, they both want the same thing typically. They both want a woman with a nice booty if they can get it. Okay? They want a woman, you know, preferably that wear her natural hair, and if she weaving and do some sound, it's okay, long as she nice. You know, brother wants some nice looking babies, and brother wants some food when he get home. That's typically what most Black African men want. They don't have a lot of whole expectations, but they don't want the back talk with that. And see, if you're a woman that has a lot of back talk and you're dealing with, you know, some Black American men, like if you're in Los Angeles and you're a woman that has somewhat of a bad attitude, the reality is that there's too much competition out there in LA for guys who got money to deal with somebody like you. I'm just gonna be real. If that's your attitude problem and you have it there, guys are not gonna tell you why they don't want to deal with you. They're just not gonna deal with you. If you start having problems, guys are gonna start dropping you. And most guys that have big money, they don't even tell you why they're not dealing with you no more. They just stop. Okay? And the reason why that some guys just want to kick it is because you've shown that you're not a person willing to be married. If a man doesn't feel that you're a woman to be married, he's not gonna marry you. That's on you for not displaying those characteristics. That's not on him. And you still ain't married, from what I understand. So now you're going around blaming brothers, and then here's this whole African men versus African American men thing going. The reality is you have good men in both communities. You have good Nigerian men, you have bad Nigerian men, good Ugandan men, bad Ugandan men, good Jamaican men, bad Jamaican men, good African American men, bad African American men. But the reason that you don't want to talk about is that you have bad qualities about yourself that you don't want to own, but you want to point out everybody else's bad qualities. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Okay? And that's the reality of what we're dealing with today. Right? A lot of these sisters that are in the pan-African movement that are out here, you know, some of them are struggle vlogging all through Africa. You didn't make it in America with a man because of you. That's all it is. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe with the bell. Check out the first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.